Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo's Game Table. We're going to do a quick little video for you for Lock and Load World at War 85 with the lead designer, Keith Tracton, and Nate, TheGimpyGamer. He's also going to be shooting this for his YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out. Nate, take it away.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Gimpy, and I am here at the WBC with one of the first interviews I'm doing with LNL Publishing. I've got Keith Tracton here with me, and we're going to go over World at War 85. We've got a couple of different issues here. We've got Blood and Fury, and what's the other title?
Storming the Gap.
Storming the Gap that we're going to be discussing. Keith here has been nice enough to sit down and talk to me. I have not got my hands on the game yet. I'm going to be doing that later to get a little play testing. I'll take and have some footage of that for you guys later, but I'm going to let the designer now talk to you guys a little bit about the game and what you can expect coming forward. So I guess one of the first things I can ask is, what is the same as before that gamers who have had this previously can expect?
Well, the concept of the game was that the majority of the combat system is on the counters. It makes play very, very fast. That is exactly the same. The sequence of play is pretty much the same. There's 3 sub-phases, and there's one additional phase in the beginning. It's an initiative phase. That's just a way to say who moves first in a scenario.
Well, how did you get involved into this project?
Well, that's kind of a story. I was doing my own project just for fun. I was making a large map project. I had a lot of counters. I was cutting them by hand, posted them on the Wargamer Facebook page. Also developed a Sun Tzu prototype module, which made it easier because it didn't take up as much table space, and I could have as many counters as I wanted. Started posting screenshots from the development of that, again, just for fun, just for me, not for publication. And I apparently caught the attention of David Heath at LNL Publishing, and he messaged me and said, hey, can we touch base by phone? And we had a sort of a mini interview, and he introduced me to the World War 85 project. And at that point, I had a couple of the old modules, and he asked if I was interested in joining the team. Initially, just to rewrite scenario descriptions and kind of bring the scenario descriptions into the real world, and get sort of a consistent campaign background. And that's where I started.
Well, since this does have a previous version, is this the new version? Is it going to be compatible with the old versions that some of the old gamers might have?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. It is not compatible. We were taking information as we're revamping the system for the reprint here and the upgrade. Those are all the wrong words. It's a redesign, basically, but again, the core concept is the same. We had to make some serious decisions based on the information we had, and based mostly on the feedback we got from gamers as we were, going over the counter types and what complaints were about the previous system, the maps. The decision, David had to make a really hard decision, which is with so much information, we have 10 values on the counter, to enlarge the counters. Once you enlarge the counters, you have to enlarge the hexes. Once you enlarge the counters and the hexes, it's no longer compatible with the old maps in the old system. Also, in the old system, there were simply a lot of maps that were not geomorphic. There were some that were and some that weren't. We redesigned all of the maps to be geomorphic. There were some hex grid issues. Hex grids needed to be rotated, and we needed additional terrain to make all the maps a consistent size. So all of these factors contributed to it's not compatible with the old system.
All right, Keith. I've got to ask: are there going to be vampires or werewolves in the new editions?
Get asked that a lot too. I'm going to say no. There is a joke around the office that this is the no monsters version, but yeah, there's not going to be any vampires or werewolves in the storyline. It's strictly going to be a real world military campaign storyline.
All right, I know that these are the first two that are really kicking off the 85 series, but I heard that there's going to be more in the series besides just these two. How many more? When can we expect them? What kind of stuff along those lines?
Our initial plan is for 8 games in the series. There's a 9th in my head, but there's nothing on paper on that yet. But basically, we're looking to do 8 games. Part of the reason that it's been as long in this redevelopment process is that we redid what we did to the counter values when we did our analysis. We had to do for 8 projected games. So there's a lot of unit types in there that you won't see in the first 2 volumes. This is volume 1. This is volume 2. But as the other volumes come out, you'll see them. We have those values already, so that will be less of a drag on the development and production of those titles.
All right. I know you can't give me exact specifics, and everyone, include me, would love to have them. But can you give us kind of some highlights of some release details, what people can expect in the coming months?
Another really popular question. I'm the first one who wants to have that answered. David has to make the call. He's getting the details for Kickstarter. We're shooting for August to September. David's going to post details as we have them.
So wait and see what comes up.
Yeah, I do have to say a wait and see on that.
Well, can you tell me what's going to set World at War 85 apart from other games that might be similar to these?
Well, for those who don't know exactly what it is, this is an alternate history. World War III starts in 1985. It is a platoon, battery. There are some sections, one-step units, flights for helicopters and for close air support. That's the scale of this thing. It's 150 yards to the hex. It is 5 to 15-minute turns. That varies because the length of the turn varies based on the chip pulls. It is a chip pull system. We have changed the chip pulls, though, however, to formation cards. There's various functions that this card provides related to headquarters, and I think we'll get to that a little bit later. But that's basically the situation there.
Now, each one of these is going to be a standalone, right? So you don't need to buy both to be able to play the games. Like, you buy this one, you've got a full game in and of itself, correct?
Right. That was a major requirement of basically taking the materials from the old system and looking at what we could keep and what we needed to toss out, basically. But in the end, these 8 games that are planned in the series, we're making 8 standalone games. If you don't, there is going to be an Arab-Israeli module at some point. If you don't want the Arab-Israeli module, don't buy the Israeli module. If you only want to buy Blood and Fury, which is the North German plane, you can only buy Blood and Fury. If you just want the first game, Storming the Gap, you just buy the first game. If you want all 8, you can get all 8. You have geomorphic maps, so if you get more than one module, you can put the maps together. Between these 2 games, there are 8 maps. There's 3 in Storming the Gap. There's 5 in Blood and Fury. When you put those 8 maps together, it's quite a playing area because they're compatible.
Well, before I let you go, I've hogged enough of your time, and I'm definitely looking forward to taking and getting this to the table and trying it out myself. Are there any other exciting features or anything else that people should be really excited to get their hands on these games?
Well, I mean, for those who are a little more familiar with the rules, there's a couple of... we went over, for example, the headquarters and revised them to be a lot more useful, a lot more fun to play. In the old game, I will use the phrase, there was what was called headquarters hunting. Headquarters were tied to a specific unit, and they couldn't get away. They couldn't move once they were deployed to that unit. So people would basically hunt those headquarters. What we've done is taken a step back and see how headquarters are used and what they're composed of. And our headquarters were reconceptualized as it's the command emphasis that you're doing during a turn. It's not necessarily the headquarters vehicles. It could be the fire support vehicle that calls in the off-board artillery, because HQs can do that. It could be the adjutant or second in command who is assigned a particular section of line, and that's why the command bonus is there. But you get to redeploy your headquarters every time a formation is activated. You can literally move it to another counter. It just goes there. Now, once it's there, it can also move with that unit, but the next activation, it can move again. Now, when it's on the map, it's still vulnerable to fire. If you have a fire support vehicle and it's down on the map and it's calling in an off-board artillery fire, somebody shoots at it, you might get it. Now, it's going to go off the map like it did in the old game. Now it's called suppressed. While it's suppressed, it can't come back on the map at the end of the turn. It moves into a box where it can deploy from. We have a new holding box over here, which would be here. And you deploy from the HQ. You deploy your HQ, which would be reduced, from the holding box back onto a new unit. Anti-tank guided missiles, there was an effort in the previous version to reflect ammo depletion, because there just aren't as many missiles as there are bullets in a lot of units. We discovered there were 3 classes of ammunition supply when we did our research. People who have a truck, like infantry teams with anti-tank guided missiles, vehicles that are dedicated to anti-tank guided missiles, and then there's the infantry fighting vehicles like the BMP that carry a smaller amount of ammunition. Everybody now checks for with a very simple die roll up against their morale training value. If they fail the morale training value, they're reloading. If the impulse starts again and they have a reloading marker, they just check against their ammunition supply. If they're infantry, they've got a truckload of missiles, so they may just continue to be reloading, or that maybe that reloading marker may be removed, and then you can fire again. If it's a dedicated anti-tank guided missile vehicle or a helicopter, if it fails its roll, it now has low ammo, which is 1 more shot. But if it's a vehicle that has very few reloads, such as a BMP or a platoon of BMPs, relatively speaking, then they're going to be out of ammo, which is a new thing. It balances out the motorized rifle battalions that the Soviets have to be a little bit more realistic in terms of how they're applied in the game. Trying to think of anything else right off the top of my head. I think that's it for the moment.
I tell you what, Keith, that all sounds exciting to me. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I know you guys can't wait to get your hands on it. This is the first of many interviews I've got lined up for you. I've got a few more lined up from some other people at Lock and Load to talk about some more games that they've got coming out. So you guys stay tuned, and Gimpy, we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Choked up there at the end of that.
I got a little bit of note here, guys, as we're still alive. I'm going to say here, if you guys have any further questions regarding any of our games that you'd like to see answered in our next video here at WBC, be sure to contact us at askus@lockandloadpublishing.com. And I want to thank both World of War lead designer Keith Tracton and Nate Rogers, the Gimpy Gamer. Be sure to stay tuned in for more information and videos throughout the rest of WBC. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Sorry, I forgot the Mo was still filming when I'm sitting there.
A lot of people love behind the scenes stuff.
Because whenever we get done filming, I always like leave it running, and that's like my B-roll.
Right.
You know, bloopers in there.
Right.
So, shit.
Buddy was on.